Good morning. I'm Janine Brown Miller, President of JBM HR Consulting Inc. and HRWebSource.com.
And I'm Lori Miller of Developing Professionals, your training and development SME, that's subject matter expert. Welcome to HR Tuesday Tips with the Millers. That's our first segment, and we're focused on helping you with all of your HR needs as well as your training and development needs. Each week we're going to focus on a different topic. This week we're focusing on HR compliance, primarily with the employee handbook. Not the most exciting thing that we do in our business models, but it's definitely the most critical. So I'm going to turn it over to you, JBM.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to start with explaining and focusing on the fact that businesses, whether one employee or 100, there are a lot of federal and state laws that you need to comply with, and you also need to be sure you communicate them effectively. So how do you begin to do that? Well, your first way to do that is through the employee handbook. So some of the things that I want to explain to you, because a lot of people say, well, why do I even need one? I don't use it, whatever. These are some reasons. First of all, they serve as a clear roadmap. So employees can clearly determine your culture, your mission, and your overall expectations. So right off the bat, you want to be sure that's clear. Having the good one actually is the difference between winning or losing a lawsuit. So obviously that's a good reason in and of itself. It ends up being a very valuable resource to employees. The more I meet with employee groups, the more they say they rely on employee handbooks to get a sense of the employer they're working for and what their rights are and those kinds of things as well. So be sure to have that for them. It also creates positive outcomes for the employees and the companies. The more you communicate things that you desire, the more likely the positive outcome. And then, of course, it explains the conduct that you expect, which is very important. More and more employee conduct in the workplace is a big problem. So this serves as a safeguard for the company. Also, when employees do not meet those behavior expectations, you have a way to deal with them because you've at least explained it to them. There are some policies in particular that I want you to focus on. Social media, when you're developing that policy, think about, one, who's going to be the voice for your particular company. And then recognizing that employees have a right to talk about your company online, be sure you tell them that you expect them to have a disclaimer that indicates that it's their personal opinion, not that of the business. Harassment policies, please be sure they're clear. Explain to them what constitutes harassment, and most importantly, who the go-to person is when they have a complaint. That's very important. It's often best if that's handled third party. So I know for my clients, I handle the investigations, but keep that in mind also, because objectivity of the investigation process is very important. And then disciplinary action policies. While you want them very clear, you need to leave some room for subjective decisions, depending on the level of offense. So again, those are just three that I'm highlighting, but I have policies for you. I have a sample handbook for you, but I just want you to pay attention to some common things right off the bat. Next week, I'm going to be talking about common mistakes made related to employee handbooks. So be sure you come back for that. But with employee handbooks, training is necessary.
Absolutely.
And what would you say?
You spend all this time and energy developing these wonderful employee handbooks. What do? You give them out, and then you expect the employees to read them. Maybe some of them read them. If they do, they're going to one section. What section do you think they're going to?
Compensation.
Absolutely. How much money am I getting paid? When I'm going to get my raise? How many days off that I have? So it's really critical through your new hire orientation and your onboarding process that you actually make sure you go through the sections. You're not going to read every single policy, but you explain the sections. You go over some of the key areas in those sections, and also it serves as a reference point for the employees. They know where to go if they are ever unsure about how to follow a certain policy or a certain procedure. So that's really critical. And then the other part is with your existing employees. You give these employee handbooks, they sit in a drawer, and they don't become a living, breathing entity. So it's really critical anytime you bring your employees together, whether it's an employee focus group meeting, it's a staff meeting, you're bringing them together just to give them an update with what's going on with the company. Every single meeting, great best practice, you have them bring out their employee handbook. Pocket size is best, by the way, when you're actually developing those. And then read a policy, have them initial when it was reviewed. So it also serves as a reinforcement and documentation, which is critical.
Absolutely.
So hopefully with some of those tips, it can help you take the pain out of employee handbooks. I'm Lori Miller, your training and development SME, subject matter expert.
And I'm Janine Brown Miller, your go-to HR professional. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.
Relax.